Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi guys. Whoa, there's a huge lag here. Testing. Hello? Sweetness. Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that should be good. Yay, no more feedback. Alright, let's see who we got. We got Rigid to MS. We got JIR0. We got Dippy. Hello, Dippy. Disc Joshi, excuse me. Let's see. We got IR Pablo. Thank you guys for coming in. We got Peg Mode. We got Brian, Toby Comey, my little homie. It's good to see you guys here. Sounds like our audio's working good now. Alright, so I'm about to open up Deflemask. I really mean it. Oh, I don't know if I'm my father. I'm just some 33-year-old weirdo who's lives in the United States who makes chiptune music.
So that clock radio that I was, alarm clock? Yes. No, it was a tiny. The snooze button was a little tiny thing. There's, it's called Celsius.
Okay, and obviously my roommates are being heard live on, well, throughout the world as well.
I figured it out, but it was kind of tough to figure out, and then the alarm was just absolutely useless. You couldn't set the snooze to what you wanted. It was just
Alright, let's see if we can make things a little more efficient.
You know, the funny thing about it is you can charge it up, and then the percentage of how much it's charged, and how percentage or whatever it is about this big. And the temperature's about this big.
Alright.
It's like, why are you making the percentage of charge so big? You think you put the temperature bigger than that, you know?
Duffel bag? What?
Yeah.
Try to do the... Hold on. I'm not getting the full res here. I'm probably gonna have to expand my screen a little bit. Deflemask has resolution issues. Yeah, it does. Although everything on my monitor has resolution issues, so yeah. What is this duffel bag? You silly gooses. Okay. Alright, people. Expand. Expand the Deflemask window? Sure. But this is pretty much it. I mean, you see where my mouse is? So it goes from FM channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is the FM 6. And this is the SN4 right here. Or the SN76489. I'm just giving them nicknames. Because I think it sounds cool, even though it doesn't. Alright. So, for those of you who don't know, the Sega Genesis had two sound chips working in tandem. So, it was designed with the YM2612, which is a cheap economy budget sound chip, FM sound chip produced by Yamaha in the late 80s, somewhere around 1987 or 88. Anybody feel free to correct me. And it had 6 channels of 4-op FM sound, FM synthesis, and then it had a PSG chip, which was used for backwards compatibility. It was a clone of the same chip that was used in the Sega Master System, and also the Sega Game Gear. So the special thing about this clone, it's the same one as used in the Game Gear, except the audio auxiliary port, the additional one that it had, in the Game Gear it was used to produce hard panning stereo. In the Sega Genesis it was used so that it could mix with the audio of the FM chip. But Sega Genesis was made with Sega Master System backwards compatibility in mind. So you could stick a Sega Master cartridge in the Sega Genesis with a special converter unit and play your Sega Master System games with the Z80 processor and the SN76489 clone that was already included inside the Genesis. Let's see. So, getting started though, you know, oh man, I'm producing more web memes here. This is great. So anyway, you know, you can press any of the keys on the keyboard to produce a sound. Just press the spacebar first. Spacebar makes it turn from light gray to sort of a dark background, and that means you're in record mode, so you can record your notes. So I can go the scales with the default FM sound, and then I can even do the black key notes. So yeah, this is my horrible FM loop. Well, that sounds pretty cool, actually. That sounds like an old sound effect from when you get wiped out on some old arcade game. Okay. So you can actually drag and highlight the whole column like you can in an Excel spreadsheet, like I just did. And then you can just press the delete key. Cleans out your whole row. Now if I do undo, the other thing you can do is go to Control A and then Control A one more time, highlights the entire column, press delete. Alright, let me see. So, alright, now let's get to actually designing one of these things. So up here at the top of the screen, you'll see this instrument window where my mouse is. Drag your window over, or drag your mouse over to the Edit button. You can already tell it's going to be a long night. And I want everybody to go to Algorithm 4, or just keep that in mind. Sega Genesis has like eight algorithms, 0 through 7, but for our purpose, it's easiest to learn the concept with Algorithm 4. Uh-oh. The tracker audio is not playing. Tweak it.
Somehow I don't think that's the way baseboard's supposed to look. I don't know for sure, but what's that? Just how it's want like that. I don't know.
No, I don't think so either. There's gotta be some way.
Christopher installed it.
Oh, really?
Neither do I, so.
Just
That's Dave. How's it supposed to be?
well, wouldn't the point be that you need to get a skinnier base?
No, it's a base shoe. I mean, it's.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to get a thinner base so you can make that base shoe.
Alright guys, I'm back. And I think I got the technical difficulties worked out. I hope. Okay, so let me know if the audio comes in good for the tracker. Okay. Sweetness. Double sweetness. Alright. Okay. So, there's a lot of quick shortcuts and tricks you can do to edit, cut, splice, cut, and paste, or whatever you want to do. So what I do is I hold down the control key and I click A once to highlight only this single column within the column. If I do control A again, then it highlights the entire column of this one channel. Then if I press A one more time, it highlights every single column, and you can press the delete key to wipe out a whole entire frame of work. Just make sure you don't click save until you're certain. Okay, so moving on, we'll get into the good stuff here. So first step, we're going to learn how to create an FM instrument with the most simplest of principles. It's best to use algorithm 4. At the top of the screen, all you need to know right now is turn the FB down to 0. FB stands for feedback, and feedback, as you'll learn more about later, affects only operator 1 directly. However, indirectly, if operator 1 affects any of the other operators, then those other operators are also being affected by feedback. I don't know if that makes sense now, but later on it should. But we're just going to focus on the basics of FM sound design. So if you go to operator 4, just turn down the TL all the way down to 127. It's basically like you're turning the volume all the way down for your operator. And then turn it all the way down for operator 1. Because what actually is happening here is, see the little diagram here? You see the 1 comes before the 2, and then you see this little leg that goes out and, you know, comes out at this end right here. So where that line goes off into oblivion right there, that basically means your master speaker, the actual sound you hear, and the thing that's closest to the speakers, those are the things that are actually producing the sound. And depending on how it's set, those are called your carrier operators, because they're carrying the actual sound wave. Now any operator that comes before that, that's called a modulating operator, because it's modulating the carrier wave. So operator 1 is going to transform the sound of operator 2. Now, just to make things simple though, I'm going to play how the sound is right now. So I'm going to set it to about 8. Keep it at 8 because you don't want to blow out your ears or speakers or whatever. And so I'm going to play like a little scale. That's a little quiet. Alright, well I guess nobody's going to be blowing out speakers tonight. Okay, here we go. Alright, now what you're hearing is a sine wave or a sinusoidal wave. So it's the most basic waveform. It looks just like a hill range that goes up and down, and that's pretty much the only sound wave that any individual operator can produce in and of itself. So So if you like your music to sound like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, then by all means use only a single operator for all your Sega Genesis music. It's a nice sound, but if you really want to start doing some stuff with this thing, you want to go to operator 1 and you want to start modulating your carrier operator. And so right now we have the multipliers set to only 1, and we'll just keep it that way for now because that's just going to give us a basic idea of how this thing sounds when I start raising it up. So I'm basically going to hammer on the C key and start raising up the operator 1 value. Alright, so that's the purpose of a modulating wave, because it's sending this same frequency into each oscillation of this frequency right here. I know it sounds a little confusing, but when you do that though, it transforms the sound into a new sound wave depending on how loud or soft you have that modulating operator. How much amplitude you're driving into that carrier operator is going to determine how thick and how refined your new sound wave is going to be as compared to a basic sine wave. So let me just do a few chords. Alrighty. Now the next step you can do, you can start putzing around with the feedback now that we have operator 1 on. You see I have it set to 25. So if I have operator 1 all the way down and I try to raise the feedback, it has absolutely no effect whatsoever. But as you raise it up to this, so I raise the feedback. Okay, so what the feedback is doing is it's taking that modulation right there of operator 1 and it's literally looping itself back in. You see that little little line drawing above operator 1 and how none of those other green squares have that? Well, that's talking about the feedback control. So feedback control is looping that puppy back into itself over and over again. And that's creating a harsher, higher amplitude sound or a modulation that's coming from operator 1 and going and then feeding into operator 2, so it's a more powerful, sharper, harsher sound. So that's how you're able to get that. If you raise it too high, you'll start to get this staticky kind of sound. The actual static is always going to be the same frequency because of the nature of how it all adds up, but you may hear bits of operator 2 being distorted through it. So it's like a distortion effect, a pedal for a guitar in one sense. So that's one of the little tricks you can do there with that. But one of the more standard ways how to get all kinds of cool, crazy sounds out of a 2-op instrument, because all we're doing is making an instrument with 2 operators. We're not using all 4 right now. This is just basic, just the basics of how it works. Alright, so you want to start changing the multipliers. So what does a multiplier do? What's the purpose of a multiplier? Well, if I go back to operator 2, I guess it's a lot easier to show you than really explain it very much. So I'm going to mash on the C key here. So what's that? It's C in the 4th octave. Then I raise it up to 1. C in the 5th octave. C in the 6th octave. Okay. So the next step should be C in the 7th octave, right? Wrong. It's actually C. It's actually G in the same octave as the previous one. And then 4 is finally the next octave. So as you go higher and higher, then the tonal increments get shorter and shorter. And now you can make a major chord from 4 and then 8. So basically, if you did things right, you could technically make a 4-note chord using all four operators with a single algorithm. So just a trick that you can do for a later lesson. You don't even have to use special mode, but there are some limitations, keep in mind. Ouch. Okay. So anyway, that's basically what the multiplier does. It just deals in harmonics, different frequencies you can set your operator to, and it's rooted in the base frequency. So if all my operators are set to multiplier 3, and I mash on the C note, you're not really hearing a C, you're actually hearing a G. So it's all relative to your multiplier, what your actual note is going to be. But generally 0 through 2, and then 4, and then 8. So 0 through 2, 4, and 8. Those are actually going to be rooted on your actual note, whatever note you press in the tracker. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so what does that have to do with FM synthesis? Alright, so if we raise this up to 25, where about where we were at. So we raise it up to this. We get more of a square or a pulse kind of sound. And then the more you raise it, the more it'll tweak and change your sound. And then you can do it with operator 2 as well. But that's going to modulate your sound in a different way, because you're modulating the carrier multipliers as opposed to the modulating multipliers. And that's good for various effects and stuff like that. That's a cool sound. Yeah, but basically, even with just two operators without feedback, you can make a lot of cool, crazy sounds in FM. The real power starts when you start using four operators and feedback, and then adding on additional effects like SSG, EG, which is that can come later on. But there's so much more you can do than just this, and we're only scratching the surface. So let's see. I want to make a nice, refined piano instrument. And a good way to do that is use a little bit of rate scaling, because what the rate scaling here does is that it sort of simulates the shorter reverb factor of like higher piano keys, and then a longer reverb factor of lower keys, or sustain factor. Feel free to correct me, guys. Okay, but I just want to ask, stop for a second. Is everybody hearing me? Is everybody still there? Does everything sound good still? OJ, making me thirsty now. Man, I want some orange juice. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be perfect on all the techno mumbo jumbo and the mathematics of how the multipliers work. But I'm just trying to give you guys a good idea of how to hit the ground running. So that you can kind of learn what took me years to learn. You guys can learn in a couple of days. Hopefully y'all be much better than me. But let's see here. Okay. Well, next up, we're gonna just try to finish up this piano instrument. Just something basic, nothing spectacular. Maybe a little softer. Yeah, something a little more Casio-like. Yeah, we'll go to rate scale 1. What do y'all think of my piano sound, guys? Think that's about right? Sweetness. Okay. Now let's say you want to chorus that sound. Anybody like to, add a little chorusing to their square waves in NES or Sega Master Music? Ah, Creamy Rose. Man, you are just way too kind. Okay. Let me see here. So, normally, it's like, the way you would do chorusing is like this. You would go... Yeah, of course I'm trying to track a really offbeat version of Star Wars, I guess. I don't even like Star Wars that much, which probably explains why I can't even track the darn tune. Well, it wasn't too bad, but it's just that I'm more of a Trekkie fan. Yeah, I know. Everybody's gonna leave now. But anyway, so let's just go with that, okay? Let's see here. So we'll kind of speed it up a little. Okay, obviously I cannot track music anymore. I lost all my superpowers. Okay, whatever. So, anyway. So I would just take this whole row here, right? And I would copy and paste it to the next one. And then I would basically... I would probably enter in like a vibrato effect. Like a slight one. Okay. And maybe I would kind of turn the volume down a little bit in the second channel. So the default volume is 7F, which is the highest. So I'd take it down to 7.9. How does it sound now? All right. Did y'all hear that? And so you can use vibrato, or you can detune the pitch. So if I do the E5 command, and if you do 80, well, 80 is like the middle pitch. You know, that's like the default pitch. But you could go to like 8A. So you slightly detune it up by a few microtones, and it gives a chorusy effect too. And then of course the more you do it, so let's say I do 9A, the closer it gets to the next semitone or semitone. And then you can start doing some like 90s trance music like that if you want, which is highly unrecommended. No, just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, that's one way to skin a cat, as they say. But let's say you need that extra channel for like chords or for a bass line or whatever else you want to do with it, and all your other channels are full. Well, how are you going to get your chorus sound? Well, I'm going to show you a special trick that you can do with Algorithm 4 when you're designing an FM instrument here. So once you get a good sound with only 2 operators, what you can actually do is, you see my mouse up here? Operator 3 is also a modulating carrier. It's the parallel carrier to 1, except it doesn't do feedback, right? But that's okay. You don't necessarily need it to make a good chorus instrument when you have feedback. And then 4 is your parallel carrier wave. So they're actually 2 parallel 2-op systems working together as a 4-op instrument. So what we're going to do is duplicate this instrument down here. So we're going to take this all the way to 0. We're going to take this to 39, right? Alright. And then we're going to turn the rate scale to setting 1. Systems engaged. Oh wait, multiplier has to also match as well. And then ideally you want to start off with all your envelopes matching. Oh, right. What's an envelope, guys? Well, an envelope is this red line thing right here. It actually determines how blunt your sound starts and how gradually it decays and how long it's sustained, and you know, it's got a second decay rate as well after the sustain, and then the release rate. And you know, we'll go into all that later. But these things right here, these 4 or these 5 dial columns here, they actually control the volume envelope for each operator, and each operator has its own, and that's going to be important later because that's actually going to help us add even more variety and variations to our instruments But right now, just leave them all the same. They're all the same, so that's good. We don't have to putz with it. So I'm going to turn the second set down just to show you how it sounds right now, right? And now I'm going to turn the second set up. Now, why is it gritty like that? Because I have the volume up too loud for the total level, so it's like hitting the decibel wall. So I'll tone it down to about 11, you know, just to be a little more reasonable, right? So I'm going to test that real quick. Turn it up to 11. So basically what you're hearing is that I essentially doubled the volume of my original instrument. So it doesn't sound chorused yet, but that's why we have a special little trick up our sleeves here. There is a detune dial right here, or I don't know if it's a dial, it's a slider, so it's a detune slider. So when it's set to 0, it's at the bass frequency, okay? So it's not, so it's tuned just right, but you can detune it by 3 points this way, or 3 points higher. So 3 points lower or higher than the bass note for each operator, right? So let's say if I detune this, let's see, both operator 1 and 2, if I detune them to 3 below, and then for the parallel operators I do the opposite, so I'm creating a 6-point gap between these two sets of dual ops here, okay? So that's going to add a chorusing effect to it. Can you guys hear that chorus wave? That chorus buzz to it? Anybody hearing that? Alright, I'm going to do my Doogie Howser thing, right? A little bit of late 80s. Alright, so let's see what we got. Now you may think, oh man, I'm like an FM superhero now, right? Well, yeah, you pretty much are. But now we're gonna go into FM Super Saiyan mode. So, oh no, I'm gonna have some more FM memes now. Okay. I should probably turn my mic off, by the way. So our next step is, what do you want to do if you have like chords of 3, but you know you need more channels to add like an echo effect to your lead instrument, for instance, you know? Such an annoying problem. Well, one thing you can do is that you can make a polychord, you know, in your instrument here, because if you remember from earlier, when we were putzing around with the multipliers, you know, we could get different notes as we went further in. So like I'm starting at the C note, right? And then the G note, right? C. Oh yeah, you can play Do You See What I See with a single multiplier and operator. I should be like on America's Got Talent or something. Not. Anyway, so what you want to do now is, so now we know we have it in the root note. But then we know if we go to a multiplier 3 that we can get a G note, so you can get a fifth, right? You can get that perfect fifth chord, you know? And now it should, so I'll turn this back up to 11, right? You know, just to kind of make things nice and even. And I'll turn the detune down to 0, you know, to make the pitch match. So we should get now, once I get my stuff together here. Alright, we should have like a polychord synth sound. So like with a single press of a key, I'm actually getting 2 different notes. I'm getting the C and the G note together. Okay, I obviously cannot play the Zelda theme song either. Okay, anyway, so what's interesting about that is that if you press the C key and then you add the E key, then what you essentially get is a C major 7th chord with only 2 notes. So now why is that? Because the perfect fifth of E, okay, the perfect fifth of E is a B, and then the perfect fifth of C is a G. So if you combine those 4 notes, C, E, G, B, then you have a C major 7th with only 2 sound channels. Okay, observe. Ah, now you can do some jazzy stuff with only 2 channels, right? But that's not all. Why is that? Because for some reason, for reasons I don't entirely understand, when you do the chorusing thing that I showed you earlier with these, sounds of nature. Hi. Long time no see. Alright, good to see some old friends in here. Alright, I'm glad you could show up. And if you missed out on anything, don't worry, because this live stream will be reposted once I'm done, so you can watch the whole thing from beginning to finish. Just be sure to make a cup of coffee and grab a bite to eat, because it's gonna be long. Anyway. So now we got like some major 7th chords here. And of course, you know, let's say I want to transpose the chords down, you can get some different variants, right? You know, maybe. And some more dissonant chords and things like that, you know. And if we take it a bit further, you know, let's say we go to 5, because 5 is going to be the E in that next octave after well, the same octave that shows up in multiplier 4. So what we should probably do is raise these up to 4 and then transpose our bass octave down, since now all of our notes are going to be an octave higher than our root octave here, right? And that sounds really ugly and dissonant, just like when I sing. But anyway, let's see, take that back to F, right? So you can get all kinds of crazy chords by changing up where your multipliers are. Just be mindful of where your root is. You want to lower your root octave down the higher you raise your root multiplier notes. You know, just to keep in mind, just to get a more full range. But there's a certain limit which you cannot go below or above at a certain point. But you know, you play around, you putz around with it a while, you'll get the hang of it. So. So now you got all kinds of different weird chords. So yeah, you know, and they even had that kind of chorusing grit to them, that thickness to them, since I changed the detune of each operator accordingly. So now we've learned how to make crazy sounds using only the two basic operators. We've learned how to chorus a duplicated instrument to get chorusing from a single channel, and now we can get chords of 4 from two channels, or chords of 6 from 3 channels, if you like. You know, it's kind of up to you. There's all kinds of different variations, so you know, that should hopefully help you guys if you ever get stuck and it's like, oh, six channels is not enough. I assure you guys, and you can make a meme out of this, 6 channels is all you'll ever need for making music. Okay, I know that'll come back to bite me in 20 years. Anyway, let me see here. So, moving on, you know, obviously you can add some feedback, right? So let's do this. And then we can actually lower the octave by doing control. You know, we can highlight across 2 channels, and you can press Control A, and now both those channels are highlighted only, right? And then you hold down Control F4 to raise the octave up, or Control F3 to lower the octave down. So I want the octave to be a little lower. See how that feedback is changing things, but keep in mind the feedback is only altering the modulating frequency here. Okay, the modulating operator, which is indirectly modulating operator 2, and these are the only 2 that are affected by this feedback. Operators 3 and 4 are not affected by the feedback at all. You know, the only thing you'll hear is operator 3 and 4 clashing into the output of operator 1 and 2, but it's not affected by that feedback though. That's the thing. So keep that in mind. When you go to algorithms like algorithm 0, you see operator 1 feeds into operator 2, which feeds into operator 3, which feeds into operator 4. So 4 is the actual carrier wave. Everything else is modulating each other. So it's going to be a very crazy full-on 4-op instrument here, unless you choose not to use 1 and 2, and then you only hear 3 and 4, or you can only hear 4, right? But then this feedback will affect everything. It'll affect operator 1 directly, and then 2, 3, and 4 will be affected indirectly by that feedback control, by virtue of operator 1 being the root modulator. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So, but let's just stick back to here, lower the feedback, because there's still a few things to go over. Okay, so basically, I'm just going to turn it back to a plain old chorus instrument. So I'm going to go back down to all multiplier 2, just a good happy medium for everything, right? Okay, so Okay. I really like that sound. I don't know why. You'd think I was born in the 80s or something. No way. Anyway. So I want to teach you guys about LFOs. And what is an LFO? Well, I'm sure you guys already know. It's a low frequency operator. Or oscillator, excuse me. A low frequency oscillator. Okay. So what does the FMS do? Well, it's essentially a glorified vibrato dial, you know, but it's internal. It's built into the FM chip, and it's a really, to me, it sounds like it has a very sharp sound curve to it, whereas the vibrato that you use on the tracker, you know, you want to do four, like 4, 6, 7 is like my favorite setting, but it has more of kind of a gentle kind of even gradual up and down, whereas the FMS is just a little bit wavier, a little bit funkier, you know. So I'm going to just start to turn it up and you'll hear how it sounds. Now it's even more intense. And now it's got that really kind of cheesy 80s subtractive synth effect, you know, the kind of things they use in older early 80s movies like Ghostbusters and other junk like that, you know, so that's pretty cool. You know, it has its uses and purposes. It can be used as a substitute for vibrato if you're designing Sega Genesis music to play in an actual game, and it greatly reduces the amount of data. It takes about 3 to 6 bytes to make a you know to make an FMS right, whereas with using vibrato it can take like anywhere from 60 to 80 kilobytes depending on how much you use vibrato in your song, simply because of the software algorithm used for vibrato effects. So software-based vibratos actually take up a lot of data. But it also gives you a different kind of vibrato. It's real sharper and wavier, wobblier than standard vibrato, I think. You know. Now, what is AMS? Well, AMS is the amplitude modulation. What that does, it's like your tremolo or a tremolo. Okay. So I'm going to spell that out. There we go, tremolo. So tremolo is like, you know, in that Four Seasons songs where, you know, by Vivaldi, where he has the violins going back and forth, like do. Okay, I just made another web meme. Sorry. But AMS is generally, it's a lot more subtle. And what's special about AMS is that you can have it function for each operator individually. So if you have it only affect a modulating operator, then it's only going to do that effect for the modulation. So the effect of the modulation, it's basically going to be doing this back and forth, you know, depending on how intense your setting of the AMS. But it's generally like up and down, back and forth, right? And it's just going to change, you know, it's going to make the operator 2 sound sharper, softer, you know. So we'll just give a little taste of that. So if I turn the ones down here, right? Hear that wow wow wow, because it's like going so, and now it's straight right here, right? And now it's warbly. and then the higher setting, the more extreme the effect. And what that is that this is the depth control. This is the depth of how high and how low it's going to go in terms of that volume or the amplitude level. You know, it's not as much there, but that's your depth control. That's not your frequency control now. Okay, and I'll get into that in just a second. But see, it's the same thing with this. You see, what's happening here is that this is the depth of that vibrato. You see, it's going up very high and down very low, but it's still going the same speed. Ah, but how do we change the speed, Markbot? Well, we shall get into that. That is actually controlled with a tracker command. And if I remember correctly, in Deflemask it's controlled with the 10xx command. So, and to activate it as on, I think, oh gosh, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 1 turns it on, and then another digit will actually activate the frequency, so like how fast it goes up and down. So this controls how far up and down, and this controls how fast it goes between the up and down portion. So if I do this, you won't hear any effects. I don't really have a setting, right? So if I set it to 1 or 5, right? But if I set this to 1, 0, well, we'll test it with 7. So, okay, this is the default, right? Now if I do 1, 1, it'll be faster. Did you hear that? Now if I go to 1, 2, it'll be even faster. And so forth and so forth. And I think it goes all the way to 1, 7 or 1, 8. Probably 1, 8. Let me see. Now it's all gritty, so what happens if I go to 1, 8? Pretty much sounds the same, huh? Yeah, so 1, 7 is the highest setting, so 0 through 7, so there's basically 8 settings. Hold on, yeah, so 7 is even grittier. Yep, a slight grittier difference. So yeah, and when you get to the high settings, this is useful. Well, I found it most useful for when you want to make like when you're doing that 80s chorus guitar thing and you're fading it out, and it's got that little squeal effect to it. Well, this is good to kind of tail on it, to set it to that extreme setting, to kind of like squeal out like ew. Okay, more memes. Anyway, so yeah, but you can do the same thing with AMS. So I mean, this is a global control for your AMS and your FMS for every single note that's in your frame. So it's not like you can operate this per channel. You know, this affects everything across the board for FMS and AMS. So you have to design your song intuitively to account for those limitations. It may not make sense now, but once you start to design instruments using this technique, you'll start to realize, oh, what did I do? Now I need to remake my song. But that's okay. That's how you learn. You play around with things, you experiment, you know, you learn and grow, right? No problem. So let's go to 1, 0. and so we'll set the AMS for our entire instrument. Now remember, you have to set it. You know, I would set it for both to hear the effect adequately. Hear that wow wow wow, like that, right? Raise it up all the way. There we go. You hear that? Now if we raise it to a more extreme, oh, come on. Setting here. Wow, 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 wow. You know, you get kind of this tape delay effect, right? So this is pretty extreme. You know, you can do sound effects and drum effects using that method if you play around with it enough and mix and match different sounds, right? You know, maybe 1/6. And then 1/3 is probably a happy medium. So you know that it's just something else you can do to add to your repertoire. So let's kind of tweak this a little. Let me count something, because you got 0 through 7. So you have 8 different settings for your LFO. So if you multiply 8 times 8, what you essentially have is that you have 64 different settings for your FMS, and then 8, essentially 8 times 3. Well, okay, it's going to be 8 times 7 though, because 1 is the first part where you hear anything at all. So yeah, 8 times 7. Can anybody do math? That's actually 56, right? So you have 56 variables for your FMS, and 8 times 3, and that's 24 variables for your AMS. So there's a lot of variety, a lot of different settings for both of these things to play around with, and that's using the 10xx command. And I'm just going to call that the LFO pitch, because that's how fast the frequency is of the LFO. You know, I'm probably way off in saying that, but oh well. All right. So I think I pretty much covered all the basics here for designing FM instruments in Algorithm 4. Would you guys agree? You guys got any questions? Who's all left here anyway? Let's see, I know we got John Makarutsu? Karutsu? I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. I'm a stupid American. Let me see. I know JIRO was here. Rigid. Rigida to MS. Peg Mode. Sounds of Nature was here. It's okay. I was just wondering if you guys had any questions or anything. How much feedback is too much? Well, that's a good question. You know, I think the first answer to that is that it's subjective. And what that means is that it really depends on what sounds good to you and what fits good for your song. You know, what do you have in mind for your song? If you find that you're having too much feedback, one thing you can do is that you can start to lower down your total level value. So let's say you have your feedback all the way up to 7, right? Well, you can, and like a lot of people, they like to have their TL values all the way up here, but you don't want to do that. You want to temper them down a little, kind of tone it down, kind of chill off on that. And if you're noticing with your guitar that that's just not working, you go down to the second one, you start to kind of slightly turn it down until it doesn't sound as intense. Alright. Or you could just turn your feedback down like one or two notches, and like you can raise those back up. So, but generally, feedback control is directly linked to operator 1. So your first go-to source is operator 1, and generally your next source after that is operator 2. That'll be your very next culprit, and hopefully that helps. As I said, there, different algorithms may produce different results. Like what does this one do? So like in algorithm 2, well, we see that operator 1 goes all the way to operator 4. So obviously operator 4 will be the next step after operator 1 if that doesn't work. So it really depends on your algorithm too. But in algorithm 0, which is where pretty much all the good distorted guitar instruments come from, right, people? You just, it's 1 and then 2. But yes, start with your feedback and start with your TL and operator 1. Okay. So, speaking of which, let's just bust out a nice solid distorted guitar instrument here, right? And let's do the first few notes of the Star Spangled Banner. Right? So let's see. What I'm going to do is add a new instrument, right? And I'll press the edit button and I'll go to load instrument. Genesis. So I have quite a few presets that I made, and I made my own electric guitar preset. So let's see how that sounds. Ah, yes. Ah, you see how it fades out into that square sound? Ah, thanks. Thanks, Jir0. Jir0. How do you pronounce your screen name anyway? I'm like lost on those things. I mean, I'd like to know just for accuracy. Okay. Oh, but anyway, guys. So let's say with our guitar instrument that you want to add some slides to it, right? And let's say you want to do that cool LFO effect. Giro. Oh, that's cool. Giro. All right, Giro. You gonna be an FM hero? Sorry. I'm trying to rhyme. Let me see. So I want to do that little those guitar slides, right? Because the way I have this instrument designed, I have it designed to fade from like twangy sound to that more hollow square sound, like in that 80s style, you know. So what you can do is when you slide into the notes, because right now they're real abrupt. You know, they're just real abrupt, like you're hitting the notes with a mallet, but that's not how a guitar sounds on stage, right? What you want to use is you want to use the portamento effect, which is 3xx, right? So generally we'll tone it down to about 3.9, right? Yeah, that's a little too much. It's still too harsh. Maybe 5.5. Nah, not enough. Where's that happy medium? I guess this might be our Goldilocks, but I can't tell. Nah. I think our Goldilocks zone is pretty much just going to be FF all the way. I'll just copy and paste that puppy. We want to add like a little slide down to it, right? I think I gotta do more. Not quite. Nine right there. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the perfect timing to get that little slide down of that note. Right. Of course, once you hit off in there, when you do an off key, you don't want to start the next note with a portamento command because that messes things up. But you'll want to cancel out the slide down command. And you'll learn all this as you go. And then we want to slide that note up a little, kind of subtly. That's a little too subtly. Alright, so I think it's like 1-1. Alright, well maybe like a 3-3. A little too synthy. We'll try 7-7. Okay, we'll just stick with that. You know what? And we'll go with this vibrato effect, right? So we'll go 84. That's a little too much. Okay. So right, we want to have that FMS effect, right? So what we can do, right, how it sounds all wavy here? Well, what you do is that you simply start off with your LFO effect turned off, right? So 10, 10, 0, 0. And then you start to slowly glide your thing down. So you start out with a 1, right? And then you kind of take it up a couple of steps, all right? And then you're going to increase that pitch down command even further. It's like a pitch slide down. Pitch slide up is 1xx, and then 3xx is portamento to note, so it slides up to a specific note and stops there, or slides down to a specific note and stops there. And different speed and depth variations of that. So let's see if this works out good. Nah, it's not quite right. I think it's probably 3/3 is the best. There we go. That sounds a little more like it. Maybe even take it down to 2/2. Or maybe 2/9. I think will be good. And so what we're going to do now is bump up the LFO setting, right? And remember, that's global, so it doesn't matter what channel I put it on, it's still going to affect it, right? So now I'm going to do 1/1, right? And let's see how. Let's just take it all the way up. Oops. What am I doing? Come on. Okay. What did I do? What did I do here, people? Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. A little too abrupt, but there is a way to do it with more finesse. So it's a pretty sloppy example, I admit. But you get the idea. So a better way to do this, though, would actually be, we could probably just take that out, right? And we could just essentially duplicate this. We just add an extra effect here, right? Okay. And so what I want to do, and so what we could do is we could just make a duplicate instrument, load up the same thing, right? Alright, the MarkBot electric guitar. You know, I stayed up till like 1:30 in the morning one night making that puppy. Yeah, I don't recommend it. But, you know, I definitely got a good, solid guitar kind of sound, right? Maybe. No? Yeah. Okay, so when I duplicate the channel though, I want to take out the global command because you don't really want redundant global commands. There's no point. It can mess things up. You can actually highlight the whole instrument row, press the delete key, and then I want to press 2 because what I want to do is I want to have the same instrument but as 2 different instruments. And so I want my first one to have no FMS, but I want my second one to have it set all the way to 7 because I want there to be like this echo sound, right? So we'll put 7/9 and we'll add like a stereo hard pan. Stereo is 8XX, so hard pan over to the right speaker is with that one on the right side. But if you want the one on the left side, then the sound will come out of your left speaker. And then 1/1 is centered. 0 is also centered in Deflemask, but when you design for a game, 0/0 means off. 0/0 stereo effect will shut your sound completely off. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. So 1/1 is center pan, where both speakers have the sound coming out of it. But we're going to do the sound coming out of the right speaker only for this second channel. So let's hear how this sounds. There we go. What do you guys think? A little more 80s? Maybe kind of bump that up at 2, really. What is tweaking out my sound here, though? That's what I want to know. There's a place where it kind of clips out. It doesn't sound right. Trying to figure it out. Let's see here. Right there. Why does it do that? Huh. Okay. So yeah, I try to have more of a gritty sound. That's a redundant command. Okay. Nice, huh? A little more echoey, a little more reverb. You know what I should probably do is I should... there's a frequency clash. Okay. What I should probably do is just change the pitch of this channel. So E5. We'll change it down. We'll change it up to 8A. Give it more of a chorus, huh? So if you ever want a good electric guitar lead, you know, you can use Tim Follins, or you can use my preset that I made, and both of them work. You use them in this fashion with these different effects, these sliding effects and stuff. So let's say I wanted to do the Tim Follins effect, right? Or the Tim Follins preset. So you'll see they're obviously two different instruments, which is cool. See, time tracks, guitar. There we go. Yeah. That was a pretty masterful soundtrack, I gotta tell you that much. So I'll change them both to the Tim Follins. You see, when I was working with one friend, he didn't like the fact that it was such an abrupt, sharp twang to the change between the notes, and so he asked me if I could help him design something with a softer attack rate leading into each note, and I came up with this. But now you're going to hear Tim Follins right here. See how it's more sharp, like you're just like scraping against guitar strings, trying to mess up your mic. Hold on, guys, I gotta answer this real quick. This is my Zoom chat, and hold on just a second. Okay. Okay, so I'll be with these guys in a little bit. Everything's copacetic. Alright. Anyway. So you'll see how that's actually... Uh-oh. Yeah. So it's just got a different sound than the preset I made. And they're both good. They're both good presets, and they both have their uses for different things. It's just, now you got more electric guitar sound options on Sega Genesis. That's all. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other necessarily. Just depends on the usage. Let me see. Man, I get so lost with all this. There we go. Okay, electric guitar. So now this is mine again. So yeah, just a little different, a little more that 80s chorus style. Tim Follins is a little slightly twangier, grungier. Mine's a little kind of hollow 80s, kind of thing. So it's just, there's all different kinds of electric guitar variations. Now for distorted guitar, what you guys are probably talking about though, is more of that grungy rock guitar, more of that da 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 da. Right. So let me see. What would be a good one to use on that? Well, Jiro, no, you really stuck around for a long time, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you listening in and learning. I think I'm pretty much said all about how much I need to tonight. There's a lot more to learn, but I think we'll do it at a later time. Maybe some other day. So don't feel bad at all. Yep. Yep, and I really appreciate everyone who's shown up and, just to listen to my babbling. Let's see, I'm going to try to find a cool grungy guitar. Okay. Overdrive. There we go. Something a little more like this. So maybe I want to make that a little grungier, huh? Oh yeah, the mildly advanced ones. Well, I thought, since I was on the topic, I might as well, right? But I hope you guys learned a lot. Again, I could open up another live stream anytime, and we could cover more advanced stuff, or we could do a question and answer session and just go over things, or just chat, or even collaborate and compose a song live. There's lots of possibilities in the future. Lots of things to learn and do with this thing. So, yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. It's been a real neat experience. This has been my first, interactive live stream ever. I'm still learning, and I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate you, giving me feedback and letting me know if things are too loud or soft or just right. And if you have any questions that you want to ask me personally, anytime, guys. So here's a distorted guitar sound. Does that sound distorted enough for everybody? Okay. So, how would I make this sound too distorted? Well, some people may make the mistake of doing this. Well, that just sounds like a bunch of hissing noise, huh? Well, yeah, then that's when I would start kind of turning down the TL. That's more like a buzzy sound, So how do we remedy that? Well, I said we could go down to operator 2. So yeah, at this level, when you get to the higher end of the TL with a lot of feedback, it's very small, subtle changes that'll make or break your song. So like just 1 point between 15 or 14 can totally mean the difference between life and death of your distorted guitar. But, you know, that's just the nature of how FM works. C13. You see, 14 sounds fine. But then 13, that sounds a little messed up, you see. And then that higher TL value set to 0 with 7 on the feedback is just going to give you noise. You know, so it's only useful if you want to do like hi-hats and stuff, so. And then I just want a hi-hat, people. Oh well. Ah, here we go. Here's a brand new sound effect for like when you're in the basketball stadium. You know, you're playing basketball. You're going back and forth, and your sneakers are squeaking on the floor. Squeaky sneakers. Yeah, maybe we can get a little. All right. Well, I hope you guys had a good night tonight. I hope I didn't trail on for too long. I'm about ready to call it quits and head off to bed, but are there any last minute questions? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I tried. You know, I'm definitely no professional. I'm just trying to explain it or teach it like I'm trying to show somebody, you know, one-on-one. You know, but I'm glad if you guys are able to learn from this, you know, if I was able to help anybody out, you know, that's what kind of counts in this case. Let's see who else is here. I don't really think it tells you if anybody is in here or not, like who's... Yeah. Oh well. That's cool, man. You know, there's a lot more to learn. You know, we can tackle this some other night if you want. You know, just hit me up and let me know, guys. Let me see. Quit that. I need to uninstall that Apple nonsense. Who uses Apple? Oh wait, probably half of our Deflemask users. My bad. Actually, I like Apple though. You know, I used to. Let's see. My first computer was an Apple Macintosh Performa 575. That's back in the days when we still used to call them Macintosh. Yep. It was a good computer. It had 5 megabytes of RAM. Yep. 33 megahertz processor. You know, 32-bit. Screaming. Yeah. Stereo CD. That's about it though. Alright. You have a good night, guys. It was good having you here.